What is going on, guys? Chris with Journos Comics and Pop Culture. Tonight, I'm going to do a video for all of you Superman fans out there. So, this video is going to talk about how I organize my Superman comics. Now, I made videos in the past about how I organize my comics in general. This one's specific to my Superman titles because it matters. Some of you Superman fans might already know why, but I will get into that. So, I'm going to start with showing you guys a box over here. We're going to pan that way and look at some more boxes. Before we look at the boxes, I'm going to say this is specifically for Volume 1 stuff. So, obviously, going back to the Golden Age, we had Action Comics and then Superman Volume 1. And then, of course, later on, I believe in the 70s, we got Adventures of Superman. And then we got Superman Volume 2 in the 80s. And then we got a couple more in the early 90s, you know, right before the death of Superman. You know, we got Man of Steel, and then Man of Tomorrow, I believe. So there was a hefty amount of runs going on at one point. And how most people usually organize their books in runs. You know, you would think, right? Like if you have Amazing Spider-Man, that's going to be in a section. Daredevil, Action Comics is in one section. Detective Comics is in one section. Batman's in one section. Superman had a very interesting thing about it at one point in time. And I'm going to get into that. So, first off, let's go in and look into this box right here. Sorry for the jiggle there. This is my Action Comics Volume 1 box. I'm a millionaire. Just kidding, it's a reprint. I love saying that every time I show that. So this goes back all the way to, you know, Silver Age stuff. Up until a certain point, though. This isn't everything regarding Volume 1. Let's see where it goes back to. It goes back to... What year is this? Let's pull this book out and let's look together. This is number 660, and it says up here, December 1990. And 1990 is when things changed for Superman. And again, we'll get there. So now we're going to pan over here. This right here is the start of my Superman boxes. So let's pull this guy out. And this is a long box and it's nice and heavy. We're going to keep it just like this, guys. So if you look at my tabs here, guys, okay, you can see that I have tabs that says Superman. But then I go into some specific tags. Let's see. This is, yeah, so this is S. This is DCS. Supergirl, Superboy, Supergirl. And then this tab right here is everything Superman. So, for example, some people might keep all their Spider-Man in one section, right? And we know that there's Amazing, there's Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man. So maybe if I did that, if I had all my Spider-Man runs in one section, I'd have a Spider-Man tab and then a tab for Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular, and so forth. I'm just using that as an example. This one, for Superman, this means all my Superman runs are going to start right here. Except for the Action Comics in that short box, just because I was running out of room in my long boxes over here, and I just needed extra room. So that's why they seem to be separate at this point in their own box. But, so you can see here, I have Superman Adventures of, so that's, oh, okay, so actually, so what I did here, see, Superman Adventures of in parentheses is because Superman Volume 1 turned into Adventures of at some point. And then we got Superman Volume 2, and that's why we were able to have a Volume 2. So basically, right here starts Superman Volume 1, okay? This is probably my earliest issue. Actually, if you look up here, guys, I am in the middle of rebagging and boarding a lot of my Superman stuff right now. I want to get, I'm going to press them up. I'm going to get stuff into Mylar. So I got a whole bunch of books up here, but it's okay that those aren't filed for this video. I'm not showing off every single book. So this is Superman Volume 1, right? Starting with the Silver Age. because I don't have any Golden Age stuff up until Bronze Age. And let's look at where it stops. Remember where that other one stopped? 660 for Action Comics? What was that? May of 1990? Somewhere in 1990, right? I need to rebag and board this one too. Where does this one stop? December, right? That's what it was. Action Comics was in December. If you guys can see here, I'll set that down. December 1990, number 473. There's a trend going on here, right? I'm going to get to the point. I promise I will get to the point. And then, that's all I have until Superman Volume 2, which started in 1986. I do have number 1. It's just up on the table, waiting to get put in a Mylar. So there's that, you know, issue 2, 3, and so forth. And that goes, let's pull this out. Oh, no, that's the Man of Steel miniseries. Man of Steel miniseries. Let's get to the last. Here we go. Oh, I really need to rebag and board this. Yep. Superman, Volume 2, issue 50. What's the date on that? December 1990. All right, guys. I'm going to keep this out because I'm going to put this in a Mylar and a backing board. What is going on here, right? We have Action Comics down here all the way to December 1990. We have Superman Volume 1 all the way to December 1990. Then we have Superman Volume 2 until December 1990. And then if we pull out my next box of Superman stuff. Oh, that's heavy. Okay. This is how I started. All right, to give you guys a better view here. This starts in January of 1991, and there's its own tab. It's not marked, but it's there to separate everything pre-January 1991. And right here we have Superman issue 51. Superman Adventures of Superman issue 474. Action Comics number 661. Superman number 52, right? So you're like, what, wait a minute, what is going on? Why are you just having random different runs every other book or, you know, whatnot? And it's because in 1991, this started happening right here. So DC started numbering their books, their Superman runs, together. So Superman number 57 was number 1 of 1991. And then you go to another run that's Adventures of Superman. It's number 2. Action Comics, right down here, was number 3. And the reason being is because the storylines would tie in. So, in order to read, this is for all you readers out there, in order to read the books chronologically and follow everything that was going on, you didn't follow just the runs. You followed all the runs chronologically by the number here. So, I thought that was kind of cool. We all know that, you know, there's been superheroes that have had multiple runs where they cross over. You know, Spider-Man was another, you know, superhero that, like Superman in DC, was Marvel's character that just was so successful. They kept coming out with more and more runs. And, you know, there were many, I know in the 80s, there were many story arcs that, you know, if not like specifically tied in to the other runs, like definitely jumped over. So in order to keep up with the character, you had to bounce back between every run, and I did that when I was reading Spider-Man. I bounced between each run. Today, you know, it's not so much like that always, unless there's something specific going on. Like for Spider-Man, you know, they just did like Absolute Carnage, and they actually give you a checklist of how it follows. But other than that, it's like for me reading Spider-Man currently, I can read 10 issues of Amazing Spider-Man without reading an issue of Friendly Neighborhood or whatever other ones are out there right now, and kind of just go back and then read a few issues of that and not get lost. But this was a time, and I know for me and a lot of people my age, this was the time where Superman was so hot for us. And I mean, the books were just extremely popular, and you know, the death of Superman happened, and a lot of people were reading Superman comics. So guys, this is how I organize my Superman books from 1991 all the way again to a certain time period, because it stops. It actually stops at some point. So here's what's that say? 1998, 1994, number 39. I'm going to put this in, and we'll go over. I know I have a lot of Superman books. I read a lot of Superman as a kid. And although I've always been more of a Marvel guy, I was big on Superman as well. See, so this carries over, and it's continuing to do that in 1999. So I still had them organized up until 1999. I don't have as many in the late 90s because I stopped reading there. Early 2000s, I wasn't really collecting comics at that point. I was being a juvenile delinquent and whatnot. 2000, and then I have another blank tab here because it stopped. It finally stopped, and then from here on out, I just have, again, each run separate. Action Comics. I don't have too much during this time period either. Superman, that's the Jim Lee run. And so forth. So, Adventures of Superman. Yeah. Oh, I love this cover. Anyways, so that's it, guys. That is how I organize my Superman comics. So, as I said, very, very unique to the title. And it helps me, you know, or it helps those, I should say. It's something that would help those that actually read to have it all in one place. You know, if you're reading Superman and you want to grab a few, see, what I do, and I'll explain this before I wrap this video up. What I do is I keep a short box in my bedroom on the dresser next to my bed. And that short box is like my reading material, what I'm trying to read and what I'm working on reading. And I will pull out, you know, a good certain, like, you know, 4 or 5 books or whatnot in a run that I'm reading and set it in there. And when I'm done with those 4 or 5 books, I'll come back, put them back, and then get the next 4 or 5. And so this helps. This helps just going in one spot. If I was to get, you know, read some Superman, I'd get 4 or 5 books from one spot, and it would be from the different runs, but in chronological order, and I wouldn't have to go through multiple short boxes or long boxes trying to find the one issue. And then when I'm done reading, I got to come back, find the spot in 1 box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, and so forth. So, so yeah, there it is, guys. I hope that this was helpful for those that may not have known. But like I said, I'm sure a lot of you big Superman fans probably at least knew of the yearly numbering. Maybe you don't organize your books this way. Maybe you organize your books differently. If you have them differently in your Superman head, let me know what you guys do. So I'll leave it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Like I've been saying at the end of all my videos, please go check out my 1,500 subscriber contest video. And if you're up for it, do an entry to have a chance to win some awesome stuff. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time.